Hi everyone, welcome back to Ilum Sabers. Today I have a special video I've been waiting to put out. If you've been watching the shorts section of the channel, then you probably know what I'm getting ready to show you, or I guess if you saw the thumbnail at this point. But this video is going to be an install, review, and a review in general of the OneReplicas SSOB. So if you're not familiar with this hilt, you probably recognize it even if you're not familiar with the hilt itself. This is based on Obi-Wan's lightsaber from the Phantom Menace. So that's a pretty popular saber, so most of you probably recognize it. And if you're thinking that maybe it looks a little bit different than what you're used to seeing, you would be correct. So there are a few differences in this hilt, and that is on purpose. This is manufactured by OneReplicas, and so they are well known for making their stunt versions of the sabers, and so those versions that they make are a little bit different. Generally speaking, the hilt in general is slimmed down overall, so this is a very, very slender hilt. And I will be doing a comparison review between this one and the Poxtor OWP, so you can see just some of the differences there. But another big reason why this is so different is because this is based on the stunt version of the hilt that we actually see in Phantom Menace. There are some scenes in the film where you can see this hilt and you can tell that it is this one because there are no silver pieces kind of shining through this black section here. So it's all black here. That's what this is as well. There's some other differences in this hilt to the standard hero version of the prop, so I'll briefly go over those. Next biggest one is that the pommel cubes are smaller, and that is again on purpose. OneReplicas slims down their designs so that they're comfortable to wield. So the smaller pommel cubes make it less likely to catch your hand on it or something like that. You've also, of course, got your cover tech here, which is pretty standard. You've got a nice kind of boxy shape down here, even though it's slender, the shape is really nice. You've got this thinner portion here that really cuts out into that bigger upper portion. And then the button here is actually a really nice tactile button. And so it's actually on a plunger system. And it reaches down into the hilt and presses a red tactile button. And so it's a little bigger than the brass ones, but it has a really good action to it. I mean, really good. No wobble or anything like that. There's no play in it at all. It's very much press and you get a press. Other than that, you've got this gold thumb screw here, and this actually holds in part of the chassis that we'll look at in a minute. It's got a jewel in there, like in the Phantom Menace. You also got these bezels here, and these are actually not shine through like they are in some other props. That is because there are screws that are holding them down underneath. You have a retention screw here, pretty small, just the one, and it tightens up against your blade and does a really good job of holding it in. You can really swing this thing around without having to worry too much about, since it's such a simple design. And something else that I really like about this hilt is it is actually one solid piece, except for the pommel. The pommel screws off, but everything from here down to here is one piece of aluminum. I guess, of course, obviously, the cover tech and some of the greeblies are additional pieces, but the hilt is machined out of one piece. So that is really neat. I'm going to go ahead and open it up and show you the chassis. So I installed this, and I have been waiting to show this off on the channel. Like I said, it has made an appearance in the shorts a couple times, but this chassis here is the Saber Bay chassis. So here we are. Got the pins on this side this time, and the PCB on that side. Generally speaking, like when I did the TXQ Luke, I talked about how a lot of times the flat side will go on here, but for the Saber Bay version, they designed it to have the pins on this side, so that's what we do. This was a really great chassis to work with. I had a couple questions that I reached out to Saber Bay about. They were super happy to help because every chassis is different, so this chassis had a couple things that were different than others I'd worked with in the past, and so it was really great to be able to talk to the chassis designer about that. So it's got a removable battery design, pops right out, right? You've got the 22mm speaker buried down in there, so you actually can use this part to pull the chassis in and out, which is nice. You've got a kill switch right here. You've got the board, of course. you've got the stock rotary chassis connector piece, which is similar to, or pretty much the same as the CC Saber's 6-rail connector that I used in the TXQ Luke. So what this does is it actually takes the connections from the buttons, and it actually has pins that allow the connection from the button to actually carry up into the PCB in the hilt, so that the button that is up here can be above that PCB, which it needs to be. So I'll go ahead and pop the battery in here. It's a nice snug fit, but not too hard. You just got to press down a little bit on the spring action, and then go ahead and flip the kill switch and it'll pop right on. Okay, so again, just really simple, just slide it on in. And I've found just through some trial and error that it works best if you kind of align the Profi board with the CoverTech wheel. It just slides in easier that way. They're both completely circular, so it shouldn't be that big of a deal. It'll go in any way that you slide it in. So again, we've got it on, we've got the chassis in, just a quick button press and that'll power it up. And then this is a 1-button setup. This hilt does not have an option for a second button, so keep that in mind. You can also do, of course, gesture controls. And that is that. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up a blade, and then we will go ahead and take it from there with that. One thing to note before I do that, however, is that I would not suggest really messing with these guys at all. So both of these will unscrew. This piece is actually a retention screw, and it holds in this upper piece of the chassis. So I showed the underside of this piece a moment ago. It's what the main part of the chassis connects to. And so this is the retention that holds that in. So I would not mess with that, because you don't want to risk having it kind of move around in there or come out. Additionally, I wouldn't really mess with this guy. He's in there aligned with the switch as it should be. And so if you mess with these, it's possible that your switch could become misaligned and you have to mess with that. Also, the threads on this guy are kind of thin. So once you get it in, it is good and it sits in there really tightly because there are a lot of threads, but because the threads are a little smaller, you could cross thread it. So you don't want to do that. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and put the blade in. Right now it does come with the stock fonts. Okay, so it's set up with the stock Profi fonts, but it is set up with the custom blade styles from Vet263's website, as well as the OS 6.8 that he's got. So there's some additional effects on there that would not come with just the plain stock Profi package. So there's our blue, and this actually has all of the stock fonts on there twice. The first time they're all in blue, just since the saber is a blue saber, and then the second time they actually are, each one is a different color. So you've got all of the lightsaber colors. You've got blue, green, purple, red, white, orange, and yellow. So I'll go ahead and show some of these effects on here. The main stuff is going to be, some of the more classic controls. You're going to have blaster block. Okay. You're going to have clash, which is just going to be clashing the saber. Okay. You're going to have lock up, which is going to be when you hold power and then clash the saber. And then when you let go of power, it lets go of the clash. Another one that is a pretty classic one, you've got lightning block. So that's going to be, you're going to press this twice, but on the second press, you're going to hold. And it's going to hold that lightning block for as long as you hold down the button. Let the button go, it'll stop. Then you're going to go ahead and have multi-blast mode. So this is going to work a little different on the 1-button versus the 2-button. But basically for this, you are going to hold power and then swing. And so for each swing, you will get a blast. Now the swings have to be pretty articulated, otherwise the saber probably won't recognize them and it'll just shut off, because holding power is also how you shut off the blade. So just to show that effect, we'll go with this. So basically, if you're holding down power and then you start swinging, that's what you're going to get. Additionally, you've got the force effects and the quotes. There aren't any quotes on here because the stock pack shouldn't come with any, but they work the same way. Hold down power and then let go. And then to switch to quotes, you actually, while the blade is on, you just invert the saber so that it's pointing down like that, and then you do the same thing, the same effect. So you hold down power and let it go, and instead of doing a force effect, it would switch over to do the quotes, and when it does the first quote, you'll know that it's switched, and then you can just take it back to the rightful position, and it'll continue to act like that. If you do that same effect while the saber is pointing straight up, you are going to get music. So the music on here is the public domain performance of hosts of the planets. So I think you've got Mars, Uranus, Mercury, and Venus, and so those four will repeat themselves through the 12 different presets that are on there. Basically, that kind of covers most of the effects. Of course, when the saber is off, you've got a few other effects. So obviously, turning it on is going to be a press. Switching fonts is going to be holding the power button, basically for as long as you would hold it for the quotes and force effects. So just a quick one.
Smooth Jedi.
We'll go through some of those.
Smooth Gray.
So these should all be blue.
Smooth Fuzz.
And then once we get to the end of them,
Rogue Commander.
I think that's the last blue one.
Teensy.
Yeah. So this one will be red.
Smooth Jedi.
Green. And these all have the same basic effects that the blue preset has as well, of course.
Smooth Gray.
Purple.
Smooth Fuzz.
Got a yellow. This one should be orange, I believe. And this one should be white. Okay, I believe that is really most of it. There are, of course, some additional controls and control options on Pet260's website, so I would suggest you check that out, but that is the basic bare bones of kind of what this comes with. Something probably important to note is that it does not come with a blade plug from OneReplicas. I know that there are blade plugs offered that are pretty accurate to the prequel style emitter, where you've just got a flat silver portion on the top, so I'm sure those are not too hard to procure, and I'm sure that would also really add to the look of the saber. But overall, you know, I was really happy with you know, this install. This saber was really great to install just because, you know, it has a simple design, it's one piece, so just kind of like a ship in a bottle, really. You slide the emitter part of the chassis in through the top, and you slide the main body of the chassis up through the bottom once it's ready, and you're good to go. The chassis, of course, like I said, was from Saber Bay. You know, I think that they really did a good job. The print was a good quality. All of the, you know, wire channels felt really, you know, well designed, good openings and everything. I didn't really have to worry too much about getting wires through tiny spaces. I only had to use my tweezers a couple times. So overall, I really enjoyed, it was an enjoyable install for this one. So with that said, I think that pretty much covers all of it. Don't forget to hit the like button, comment, subscribe, of course, all the things. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this hilt. And then hopefully within the next couple days, I will be uploading another video in which I compare the stunt version of Obi-Wan's hilt to the hero prop. So I'm excited to get that one uploaded as well, and keep an eye out on the channel for that second video. As always, thank you guys for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that the video was worth the wait, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.